Walking Guide to New Zealand's Long Trail, Te Araroa. Seems pretty interesting. Oh, hey folks, didn't see you there. This video is a really unique video. This video is about this thing here. The Te Araroa Trail. Not the guidebook, but Te Araroa Trail. What I'd like to show you guys today is a treat. Now, these are following scenes from my Tramper documentary project, Distant Shores. For those folks who have not been apprised, I, Ras the Bushman, tramped the Te Araroa Trail, New Zealand's long trail, in 2018-2019. Off topic, I will have to be involved with Te Araroa Trail for the next couple of years. But more on that shortly. Now, the whole premise of doing Project Distant Shores was to give the tramper the most accurate perception, perspective, and point of view of what it's actually like to do a thru hike if you're not doing a thru hike or if you're researching the thru hike. And two, what is Te Araroa Trail about? Now, my original constituencies for Te Araroa Trail and the thru hike was to do the documentary over a 1 year time period. I realized shortly after that it was not enough data, not enough information, not enough of a narrative to see it in 1 year. It would require several thru hikes, several goings through of the Te Araroa Trail itself. So over the next few years, I will unfortunately have to be involved with Te Araroa Trail during the summer, like one island at a time, just chop and change for the next couple of years. So I might end up doing Te Araroa Trail for the next couple of years and probably do a thru hike, 2 or 3 times, 4 times probably. But to me, this is important because I love it. I love outdoor recreation, and B, it gives me a better time understanding of the characters that you meet and the people you see, and there's subtle nuances that the average tramper might or might not see. That is the whole point of Project Distant Shores, to see what it's actually like to actually be in the camera. So the camera is your eyes. You're experiencing it in first person mode. That's the whole point of this Project Distant Shores Trampomentary. For those folks who don't know, I'm shooting, producing, directing, wrote the storyboard, everything myself. I've received no sponsorship whatsoever. A lot of people who do these type of documentaries do have sponsorship of some sort, or support crew. I have none of it. So this is a personal project of mine. I'm doing it, as I said, to show people what it's like to do a thru hike, to show what Te Araroa Trail in New Zealand is actually from a New Zealander, a native perspective, not a foreign perspective, a native perspective, how we see our own country and how others could see it as well. It's also a calling card for my filmmaking documentary career, you could say. It's also one of many creative masterpieces I have in my life. There's several others I've written, slightly off topic, but I've written a novel, and that took me a couple of years, and now I've got this. But anyway, as I said, this may or may not affect your ratio. Now, what I'm talking about ratio is Project Distant Shores was shot in Cinema 4K. Cinema 4K has a different aspect ratio than your normal TV screen or your mobile device. It's not 16:9 or 4:3 or 1:1. It is, I believe, 119:1 or 128:1, 134, something like that. It's a different aspect ratio, so you might experience letterboxing on the top of your frames of the device. I apologize for that. But the whole purpose was to capture as much raw data, as much raw footage and detail as possible, utilizing this baby GH4. Now, I actually tramp with this. I'll be tramping with this for the next couple of years to do the thru hike. So it's not just a documentary filmmaker chopping places and then filming people, then catching a bus and blah blah blah, like most filmmakers would do. This is somebody who's actually the tramper, tramping the trail while filming it. So it is a totally different perspective. It is more of the backpacking filmmaking niche of adventure filmmaking. That's my niche that I like to get into. But yeah, these are a couple of excerpts from Project Distant Shores that I've shot and edited over the last year. There's some more footage shortly to be added. This is going to be years and years of work, this Project Distant Shores. So yeah, stay around and stay tuned, and I'll show you around. Kia ora folks, RDB, your local Bushman here. Kia ora folks, RDB, your local Bushman here. As I said from my short intro, this is excerpts from my Tramper documentary, Project Distant Shores, which is basically a point of view, a first-person perception of what it's like to do a thru hike and how it feels to do a thru hike. The euphoria behind it, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions captured in their visual creative form. This project's really important to me. It's very special to me, but it's going to take some few years to get the most, you can say, qualifiable perfection to me to show it to everyone else. But here's a couple of excerpts that I do have. Some of the interviews are not on here. This is just purely the POVs, the perception views. So stay tuned and I'll show you around. As I said, the aspect ratio might change. This is shot in cinema 4K. This is not UHD, so it's not 16:9. It is a different aspect ratio, so you might experience letterboxing. Don't worry about it whatsoever. You'll still be able to capture the raw footage. So stay tuned and we'll see some scenes. Alrighty, so hopefully you folks got a good understanding what it's like for A, Te Araroa Trail, and B, what it's like to do a thru hike. That perception of a thru hike is very different because we can take photos, we can take short little videos and put them on Facebook and our blog websites and all that, but that's only for that one person. This Project Distant Shores, the Tramper documentary, is to give you the general feel of what it's like to do it. Not definitive, but what it can be like. The problem I found with people's personal blogs is that it's too much of their own perception, their view. That's fine, and I'm happy for them. This is supposed to give you the idea of, if you're doing research for a through hike, what it can feel like, what it's like to see the sights in that eye, in that point of view, not from the third person, from the first person point of view. That's the whole narrative style of Project Distant Shores Trampumentary. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit more about Te Araroa Trail, and I do have tons more Te Araroa Trail footage to come out, so stay tuned. Alright, ka kite anō, bless the trails folks, and I'll see you guys later on. See you later.